Thank you for tuning in on today's show of The Truth, where we're going to give you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Today's episode, we're going to talk about our coming out stories. Coming out is not so easy for everyone, so I want you to stay tuned and join us when we come back.
Oh, it's the truth. It's the truth given to you from the truth. With the truth, we will not bow down to racism, exploitation, injustice. Oh, it's the truth.
This is the big talk about, do we have what it takes to be the real, the view, and all the other established talk shows out there. I'm just curious to know, what is everybody's coming out story?
You want the short version or the long version?
Well, I mean, we don't have so long, so I guess we have to give it the short version. So,
Cliff notes.
Well, I guess I'll start with me. I came out to my mom when I was 17. I had some issues telling her at first, like, I don't think any guy wants to like tell their mom like, hey, I really don't like girls. That's why nobody's like been calling the house. So I wrote her a letter, and I left the letter in my drawer, and I came home from school. Well, one day when she thought I was going to school, and the letter was sitting on the table, and she's like in tears on the phone with my aunt. I'm just like, oh my God, here we go. But I think the part with my story that stood out the most was that the conversation wasn't, okay, well, are you comfortable with who you're about to become, and are you prepared for what's about to be ahead of you? But the conversation was, okay, well, who's being penetrated? So it was a little uncomfortable at first, and then my mom was accepting of it, but she was just more protective of like who I was around and what I was doing. And by the grace of God, like the friends that I came out with, which is how I met you, they were all older. So I came out to my mom when I was 17, so all of my friends were 19, 20 or so. I was pretty much
piggybacking off what you just said, I remember we were young when we actually when we crossed paths, and we came out around the same time because I came out when I was 17, and I remember we had a big birthday bash in Canarsie, and it was our big
Was it my birthday or your birthday?
It was both of ours.
Well, yeah, because they're right behind you.
We did it on December 11th.
Right.
I'll never forget. And, you know, when I came out, I told my mother, just straight out, I came home after the party. And when I got out, I was like, no, I didn't. You know, I was like, I tried to avoid her. But she just kept laughing.
You don't remember telling her?
I remember telling her, but I was like, did I just do what I just did?
Right.
And I think the reason why a lot of us are scared to come out to our parents is because when we're younger, we hear so much people saying, oh, this is abomination, this is not good to be gay, and people making fun of you, like they call you names.
Sometimes you feel bad because your parents might want to become grandparents, and you think about that too.
Exactly.
Which still doesn't stop that from happening.
Right.
But you know what, there's also so many instances of, you know, parents saying, oh, you know, you're disowned, get out.
Yes.
And I think that's also part of the fear that people have when they come
And
out.
I think, to be honest, piggybacking off of that, I don't think a lot of kids should come out, to be honest, if they don't have a means of being on their own.
That's interesting.
Because
just in case.
Just in case, you know, it's smart to just keep it cool until you have your own. Because you don't want to be kicked out on the streets because of your sexual, you know, orientation.
Well, what was your story?
My story wasn't my story was kind of funny. Like, my mom always knew. She wasn't stupid. Like, I was playing Barbie dolls with my sister. You know, me and my sister would put I'll put hair on my head, like with towels and t-shirts, and we play like 90210 or like soap operas. So like, I mean, I was doing all that, but you know, as I got older, it was a little bit more awkward coming forth telling her. So I let her kind of like somewhat just assume. And there was one time I had my own apartment back home, and I invited a bunch of friends over. And, you know, my mom was paying for the apartment, so she came through, and there was, like, boys laid out. We was all obviously drinking, and I was in bed with another dude.
Oh.
But we were just
Turned
sleeping.
down for what?
So, when you talk about a nightmare, it was like a nightmare. I, like, woke up, and she's like, everybody, get out! And she's running through the house, get out! And she was like, you can tell your boyfriend to get the hell out too. And I didn't know what to say. All I could say was like, that's not my boyfriend. Like, you know, like she sees me in the bed with this dude, and I was like, well, after that, I mean, there's no going back.
No coming back.
It's it.
Yeah.
So she knows.
Well, you know, everybody coming out is so different and so many different barriers that
Right.
you just don't know.
But I was afraid that she would be like that type to be like mad and upset about it. But she was like, I always knew. You know, I did this show in London about gay Christians, and so when I premiered it, she was there and she met my boyfriend at the time, and she was like, I knew, and she gave my boyfriend a hug, and it was good after that. So.
I always feel like parents always know.
They always
because I've never been like hyper masculine. I've never been hyper feminine. Like I've always, and you know me when I was younger. Like I've always been the outgoing one, the crazy one. The girls always liked me. The dark skinned guys hated me because I'm light skinned with hazel eyes, and it was just always like this controversy with me. But it was never I identified as anything. And I think a lot of times with especially the younger generation, they want something to identify to. Like they have to be either or, and it's just like be yourself. Like there is no wrong way to come out.
You know, the best way to do is when you're growing up. I don't want to send the wrong message to people out there. Well, don't come out because it's hard when you're not being yourself.
Be prepared.
You feel like it's like you're choking. You know, it's like a choking sensation that you can't be you and you're gasping just to get it out. But there's the right time and place for everything. So sometimes you have to take one for the team. What do you really know at the age of 14, 15 you want to come out? I understand that we're in a new time of you know, era in our life where it's a little more acceptable.
It's more accepted. But when we were going through it, it wasn't so much.
It wasn't
acceptable.
It wasn't.
Just hearing all of you guys' experience compared to my own, which is very different. I can't say that I ever came out. I was more so pulled out the closet. And I say that because
pulled you out.
Yes, I was pulled out basically because when my family.
Don't blame.
No, but seriously, when my family found out about me, I wasn't even home. I was on vacation. Because it's a little bit
touching.
Yeah, it was an emotional experience for me. But I was on vacation with my friends. We had just graduated high school, so I was 18. I was already experimenting, you know, with the gay scene and things like that. But you know, to get a call from someone outside of my family saying, "Hey, you know, you need to know what's going on at your house," because your brother's walking around the street saying, "Oh, we can't have a fag in the family. We can't have a fag in the family." Like, it completely messed me up because I'm thinking now, you know, my world is over. You know, I'm gonna get home and, you know, it's World War III. They're arguing about this and that. But actually, when I got back from the vacation and I came home, it was like the pink elephant in the room. Like nobody was saying anything to me. It was like the entire issue was squashed. But when I brought it up, I did find out that there was a little bit of a family divide at that time. So it was a little.
But
How did they find out? Yeah.
Well, it's one of three things. Now, you know, as you know,
Was
guys,
the computer AIM, you know, back in the day?
There's a little bit of the computer because, you know, I probably didn't clear the history. And there might have been some things on there that shouldn't have been there. But there was also in the garbage can, like one of those club flyers. And, you know, I was young, so I'm sure they handed it to me.
Oh, you know the parents, they go through the garbage.
Exactly.
They go through the
Everything
garbage.
I know for a fact because when I got back from vacation, I just, you know, kind of tossed it in trash.
Right.
But there was also a letter that I wrote to somebody that I had a crush on, and I slipped it in between the mattress. And it was just kind of like, when I didn't find it until later, but when I went through, I was like, oh God, somebody could have found this? Like,
So they never found the letter.
I don't know. I don't know what
exactly?
they found.
Right, you know,
You had all evidence. I mean, pretty much.
Parents, they do.
Guilty.
That's, you know, that I can understand where you're coming from because I know, and in my family, like, we have, it's like the females are the aggressive ones, the guys are the more soft ones, but the guys are more, I want to say hypocritical kind of, is that they want to talk negative about some of the things, and I had my older brothers, you know, I had uncles and them calling me out, you know, out of my name, calling me Hasina, you know, stuff like that when I was younger. But when I got to a certain age that I didn't care. And the reason why I didn't care because I said, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm doing this for me. And I was at the age of 12 years old. I was in Kiefu. I was packing up bags. I got my first job teaching dance at Sharice's dance studio. I was working at a supermarket, at the age of 16. So it was like, I'm gonna do this for me. And all the criticism I was getting, it motivated me to do what I needed to do for myself, and I wanted to get out. So nobody can say anything to me, basically, well, you can't do this, you can't do. And I wasn't 21, that's understandable, but at the same time, it pushed me to do something like this now, a creative mind doing the truth. And this is what the truth. I want to be able to be the voice where we can give back to people and let them know that you're not alone, because we all have crazy stories.
And some are worse than ours.
You have people.
Very true.
And it's so frustrating that it all stems from your sexual preference.
Sexual preference. And the thing is that, like, I have an aunt, and I feel like we were so cool when she did not know. And I feel like the minute that I told her, it was a wrap. It changed everything. But me and my aunt, we were like this. And we still are. We still are from a distance. And she's watching. I love you, auntie, all as well. That's
so true. Because I have an uncle, and we're pretty cool, but I have never told him. And my dad, he was locked up for 11 years of my life, and I really haven't told him. But you just think that they might assume. But like when I'm on the phone with my dad or my uncle, and they're asking me about girls,
so you're like
to
an
this
actor.
day, yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, my mom told my whole family, so it was just like on the phone with the aunt, and it was like down south, Delaware, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's cookie. I gotta tell them runners, but my family was like accepted of it. Like there wasn't any backlash.
Yeah, my mother, my mother became closer
because of it.
Because of it, and she didn't tell anybody if I didn't want them to know. So it was on us. But I just didn't care. I did not care. I was like, as long as my mother knew, and she was okay with
that's fine.
It was like, I'm heads on. I can take on everybody else.
Yeah.
So what was like the end result with your family after your situation?
Well, the end result for me, basically, half of my family was split. So it was sort of like my mother and my father, which was, bonus because my parents were cool with it. So was my older sister and my younger sister. But then I still had my only brother and then my middle sister. Those two were, on the team that weren't really for it. And so it took a long time for me to repair those relationships. But eventually, even though we really haven't spoke about it, it's kind of mended again.
So where you guys stand like now? How does that work?
Well, it's fine now. I mean, there's obviously some issues there, which we'll get into in another episode. But it's good now.
But you know what? I enjoy this topic alone because it's an ongoing, and I can't even imagine the other stories that's happening out there. And this is a touching topic is because it affects everyone differently and effectively. Right. So, with that being said, I definitely want to hear more from you guys out there and how was your coming out experience? We can interact with you on our shows on Thursdays, Interactive Thursdays, where you can hashtag us at The Truth ×2, which is X2. Yeah. Well done, guys.
Yeah,
I really can't, I'm still kind of trickled up because yours shocked me even a little bit, It just can never put a face on something and assume.
You never know somebody's story.
You never know the behind scene. But it was a great episode, but we want you guys to stay tuned to next week when we give you the truth, the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
Stay tuned to next week's episode of The Truth, and don't forget to tweet us your response. Hashtag The Truth ×2 at _truth NYC.